Hi, good morning again. This is Ms. Delore. Our video for today is all about comparing quantities. So you will need your Carnegie Math book, and I will tell as you browse this Nearpod for the pages that you need to read while you are watching and answering this video through Edpuzzle. Alright? So let me share my screen. So go ahead, open your math book on page 174. And we're going to read the quantities here, right? So comparing quantities. Let's think about the different comparison of two quantities. Okay, we have here a situation. The school colors at Riverview Middle School are a shade of green and white. The art teacher, Mr. Rate, knows to get the correct color of green, it takes 3 parts blue paint to every 2 parts yellow paint. As you can see on the drawing, there are 5 total paints, right? Then 2 are yellow and 3 are blue. Okay? So there are different ways to think about this relationship and make comparisons. One way is to draw a picture or model. So from model, you can make comparisons of the different quantities. Blue parts to yellow parts to blue parts to total number of paints, which is 5, and yellow parts to total parts. Okay, let's move on. Okay, you're going to watch this video all about ratio.
Welcome to Math with Mr. J. So here we are at the introduction to ratios. So we're going to go through the basics of ratios, how we write out ratios, and just talk about what a ratio is. And as you can see, there are 2 numbers on your screen. We have the top problem, ratio problem, with strawberries and oranges, and then the bottom with basketballs and soccer balls. Now, when we're talking ratios, a ratio shows the relationship between different amounts. So we're going to take a look at the quantity of one thing, right, the number of something, compared to the number of something else. So for example, number 1, we have the ratio of strawberries to oranges. So we're going to compare the quantity or number of strawberries to the quantity or number of oranges. And there's a few different ways we can write these ratios out. So let's first start by counting the number of strawberries. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we have 6 strawberries to how many oranges? Well, 1, 2, 3. 6 to 3. So this shows for every 6 strawberries, there are 3 oranges. And again, strawberries has to come first, the 6, because it comes first in our ratio problem, right? Strawberries to oranges. We can also use a colon to represent this ratio. So 6 to 3, or we can use a fraction. Whatever your numerator is, the top number, that's what comes first in your ratio. So strawberries, 6 strawberries to 3 oranges. Now, just like fractions, when it comes to ratios, you want to simplify the ratio if it applies, and here it does. So we need to find the greatest common factor, or what can divide into both 6 and 3 to simplify here. And 3 is a common factor between 6 and 3, and it's the greatest common factor. So let's divide both the 6 and the 3 by 3. Well, 6 divided by 3 is 2. And 3 divided by 3 is 1. So I'll do the colon way here first. Or I could put 2 to 1. Or the fraction, 2 to 1. And let's take a look at our picture over here. And for every 2 strawberries, there is 1 orange. So our simplified ratio matches our picture over there of the strawberries and oranges. Okay, so again, we can use the word 2, a colon, or a fraction. Whatever comes first in your ratio, right? Strawberries to oranges up here in the original problem needs to come first in your ratios when you write out the answer. Now, oranges, there could be a problem that said ratio of oranges to strawberries. In that case, you need to put the oranges first and the strawberries second. So let's take a look at number 2. Ratio of basketballs to soccer balls. Well, there are 5 basketballs and there are 8 soccer balls. So we could put 5 to 8. We could use a colon, and that represents 5 to 8. Or we could use a fraction, 5 to 8. Now this particular ratio cannot be simplified. The greatest common factor and only factor between 5 and 8 is 1. So this is simplified. So for every 5 basketballs, there are 8 soccer balls. And remember, basketballs needed to come first because it came first in our original problem. So there you have it. There's our introduction to ratios. We learned about what a ratio is and then a few different ways we can write ratios out. I will have a few follow-up videos on ratios where we dive a little deeper. I will drop the links to those down in the description. Thanks so much for watching. Until next time, peace.
Alright, I hope you learned something all about ratio and how to write them in 3 ways. And if you see that ratio can be simplified, you can write that in fraction and simplify them. Alright? The next video we're going to watch.
This lesson will extend our thoughts about part-to-part versus part-to-whole. So part-to-part ratios always do just exactly as they say in their title. They describe a part to a part. So part-to-part ratios, as shown in this picture below, the ratio of apples to strawberries is 3 to 2, and the ratio of strawberries to apples is 2 to 3. When you do a part to a whole ratio, you're looking at everything combined. So in this case, the whole would be the total fruit. So the ratio of apples to total fruit is 3 to 5 because there's 3 apples and 5 pieces of fruit. The ratios of strawberries to total fruit is 2 to 5 because there's 2 strawberries and 5 pieces of total fruit. So I want you to try it. So pause the video, see if you can answer these questions about the picture below. So first I want you to write a part-to-part ratio to describe the ratio of dogs to cats, and then I want you to write a part-to-whole ratio to describe the ratio of cats to animals. So in this case, we see that there are 3 dogs and 4 cats, so our ratio of dogs to cats is 3 to 4, and the order is important because we said dogs first and then cats. The second one, write a part-to-whole ratio to describe the ratio of cats to animals. Well, there are 4 cats and 7 total animals, so the ratio of cats to animals is 4 to 7. And again, it's fine if you wrote your ratios in other ways, like 3/4 or 3/2/4, okay, 4/7 or 4/2/7. All of these are fine for ratios. Okay, here's an extension. This is a typical problem where you would have to make sure you're noticing whether you have part-to-part or part-to-whole, and you might have to go a little further. So here it says the ratio of cats to dogs in our neighborhood is 4 to 3. So notice that's a part-to-part ratio. We're comparing cats to dogs. But then it says if there are 35 total pets, cats and dogs only, so I'm looking at a whole there. How many of the pets are cats? So if you're given a problem like this, you probably want to take your part-to-part and start thinking about a part-to-whole. So notice if there's 4 cats for every 3 dogs, but I need to figure out how many cats there are compared to how many of the pets. So 4 cats and 3 dogs means a total of 4 plus 3 is 7 pets. So I'm going to do the ratio of cats to pets. That ratio is 4 to 7. That's going to be really important because I know that there's 35 total pets. So if I'm trying to figure out the cats to pets is 4 to 7, this is cats to pets, and I want to see that equals what out of 35? then again, I can scale this up. So 7 times 5 is 35. 4 times 5 is 20. So it looks like 20 to 35 is equivalent to 4 to 7. So there are 20 cats. Okay, which you might have also figured out that means there have to be 15 dogs.
Alright, so you can see this is an extension of what we will talk about in the future, but we'll talk about more to answer the part to part and part to whole. So go ahead, read this part, this page on your math book. It should be on the next page that we use here. So go ahead, read that, and make sure you are writing down notes, and let's answer some questions. So go ahead, copy this math notebook. So I would like you to copy the meaning of ratio. So a ratio is a comparison of two quantities that uses division. The comparison in the first column are part-to-part ratios because you are comparing the individual quantities. The comparison in the second column are part-to-whole ratios because you're comparing one of the parts to the total number of parts. So that's a ratio, comparing two quantities. Okay? Then try to answer this on your own. Based from this, how are you going to write part to part and part to whole? So write down here. And also in your math book. Okay, well, we will not do that because of the Nearpod. Okay, so the answer will be 2 to 5, or 5 is to 2, or 2 is to 7, 5 is to 7. So we compared blue to yellow and vice versa, and compared blue to the total number paint and also the yellow to the total number of paint. So this is the answer key. Next, you're going to complete this table, page 178. You should have information from the other pages, or 177, to complete this one. So go ahead, take your time to complete this table. Okay, this is now the answer key. There were 240 votes for tigers and 160 votes for lions. So we can write this in column, using column, and also in fraction. And this answer key for this table. I hope you answered them correctly and check your work with this answer key. Okay, next, what have you learned about part-to-part ratio and part-to-whole ratio? Alright, thank you for your participation and hope you learned something. Please take the Elastic test. If you don't have Elastic test, you will take the quizzes. Alright, thank you. Have a good one. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.